Dog pad injuries. The pads of dogs are generally subjected to severe tests during walks, races, temperature differences. They must however be monitored because the slightest injury to a pad can handicap your dog. What are dog pads used for? The dog relies on its pads to move, of course, but these have many other equally important functions. In the first place, therefore, the pads provide cushioning for the dog's stride. This function is important for the comfort of the animal, whatever the surface on which it moves. The pads allow the dog to perceive ground vibrations from prey or danger. The pads protect the dog from excessively cold or hot temperatures of the surfaces on which it moves, as well as from humidity. Dogs have the particularity of sweating only through sweat glands which are located at the level of the pads and through their panting. Finally, the dog uses glands located between its pads to mark its territory. They secrete molecules which are deposited in its path and which warn its congeners of its condition and its presence. Dog pad injuries. Given the various functions of the pads, it is therefore obvious that they must be perfectly operational and free from any injuries, at the risk of sometimes considerably hindering the animal. These injuries are of quite diverse origins, the most common being the cuts. More or less serious, cuts are frequent and can go unnoticed when they bleed only a little. If so, you can easily clean it with water and maybe a disinfectant. On the contrary, if the cut bleeds a lot, have the reflex to take your dog to the veterinarian by compressing the area of the cut to limit the bleeding. Foreign bodies. During his walks and even at home, your dog can step on objects that will get stuck in his pads and stay there. Nails, thorns, pieces of glass, gravel, spikelets. In the absence of bleeding, you will not necessarily immediately understand what is bothering your animal. If you locate the intruder, you can often remove it yourself unless it's too deep. The presence of a spikelet should be taken with caution because any uncontrolled attempt to remove it can aggravate the injury. The veterinarian must intervene in this case. Infections. Infections can start on the paws of the dog because of parasites or small untreated wounds. If you spot any, see a veterinarian because depending on the nature of the infection and its progress, he will be the only one able to diagnose and treat the problem. Surveillance and prevention. Inspect your dog's pads as often as possible so that you can react as quickly as possible, before pain and complications set in. There are also tanning products that you can put on your dog's pads, to strengthen and protect them, in anticipation of walks on rough terrain or in difficult weather conditions, extreme cold for example.